Okay, good morning, everybody. And welcome to JPM Short Call Strike Market Maker Long at 6505. Now, yes, that's September, the end of the month, but it's big enough that it's going to kind of matter throughout time. And someone asked if we can get a bookshelf tour. Well, part of my bookshelf is in Florida, part of my bookshelf is here. But one day we'll do a bookshelf tour. It'll be interesting. Um, so here we are at 6,500, 6,505, a big sticky level. Now, for today, there's some customers selling, so we'll market make a long support, we'll call it, and we'll look at it a little more granularly in a minute. Below this, 50, 64.90, 80, 85, all the way down into this area. I just gave us a very narrow chop zone just in terms of in my roadmap, just so people could have something a little more granular to see where things might change, and just for scalping point of view. Um, the expected move was around 2025 ish when I looked before. So we're at 6,500.05. So expected move takes us toward 25 round number, and it takes us toward 80 round numbers. So that's kind of the chop zone, the expected move. And it is not unusual for us to go through the expected move on top, through the expected move on the bottom, and end up unchanged or up 5 or 10 or down 5 or 10, or to exceed the expected move. I'm not saying that we have to stay there, but broad guideline. And I just marked where the different deltas are, where there's larger positions. And so now I'm going to go talk about um, a little more granular what the setup is like today. And I'm going to point out, oh, quick reminder, macro view. Yesterday we were up 0.2%. I think the Qs hit a new all-time high Friday, and now that 5,800 area. Hold on, let's just do this. Whoops, that's not what I want to see. I've got lots of toys. Put the mental Q levels. I just like the way this roadmap looks. Kind of define zones, and I have discount codes for mental Q and for option tests, etc. So QQQ. Because I want to take a quick look at QQQ, and somebody remind me they wanted some NQ stuff, and I have some NQ stuff, but I forgot to put it in the channel today, but I will put it in. Okay, so while that's loading, okay, so we kind of had that all-time high on Friday. It looks like it was, yeah. And now we're kind of and 580 is an important level, and looks like 582 is where there's a lot of open interest, a lot of gamma up there. Let's get back to SPX. That's what we pay the price of admission for. Okay, SPX. We have CPI and PPI tomorrow. One of them's on Wednesday, one of them's Thursday. I think PPI is first on Wednesday. Today we have a Bureau of Labor Statistics March update. And so if we had the whole Trump firing of the last person, so maybe they'll make a bigger deal about the update than people usually do for whatever reason. Maybe Trump will tweet or somebody will say something, or maybe the revisions will be Worse than expected, not as bad as expected. So we may get the algos jumping in for a minute, but I don't think in reality anything is going to change. I have a picture of me with the goats on Twitter this morning. Um, yeah, okay, so there's that. And then there's the Apple Developers Conference on today. I'm guessing it's buy the rumor, sell the news, but you don't know. I mean, typically we run up into it and then afterwards we kind of recede. So another asterisk in the back of my mind that maybe we get a little bit of a pullback at some point today, or because of the Apple Developer Conference, sell the news if that happens. Other asterisk in my mind is we have whichever I tomorrow, PPI or CPI, whichever one it is, will there be some hedging going in ahead of the event? Typically there is. So depending when that hedging goes in, we should see some downside, and it might be hard to really get on our horses. And I'll keep an eye open for that. How will I keep an eye open for that? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, and just a simple toy. I'm going to look at good old fashioned VIX. I'm going to look at the VIX 9 day, which should kind of take that into account. And you can also look at VVIX, nice and simple, demand for hedging, demand for volatility, a month out. So you can look at any of these sort of toys and see if there's a little pop. And while I'm at it, let me see which one this is. No. There we go. Or we can look, I have this little dashboard that I peek at. Or you can look at my new toy, the VIX VVIX ratio, which is kind of hovering around 6-ish, which is normal, not overly, not irrationally exuberant, so to speak. Maybe a tad la-di-da, but nothing really to be concerned about. Notice when we got down here, we were almost overhedged, but that's on a small time frame. That was September 2nd, it was overdone. See? Overdone. That pullback in August day, whatever day that was, overdone. 6 seems to be okay. Up here, a little bit irrationally exuberant. We're due for a pullback. And so I just eyeball this as just one more thing that I look at. Um, a word about something else in my note, and some of you may have seen it, some of you may not have. CBOE Mandy Sue, who is their front person, I don't know, their promo person. Where I gotta find what screen I was on. Great, where's my? I lost myself. This is it. Okay. Um, their public relations person, maybe. Puts out a newsletter every month, every week rather, on Monday. You can get it from subscribing to the CBOE. I get it in an email. And so in her, where do I have it? I have it somewhere. I'm not going to bother pulling it up. But in her email, I'll put it in the server if anybody wants to read it. Uh, in her email, she basically talks about skew. And what I said in my note and what I'm saying now vocally is a lot of people are screaming, quote unquote, VIX 15 was too low, we're complacent, la di da. However, when you look at the 25 delta risk reversal, the difference between the price of the puts and the puts are actually expensive. It's at like the 90th percentile. when you compare the two. So there is hedging going on down there at those 25 delta puts, 20 delta puts. It's just to remember VIX is a calculation of the pricing of all the options, puts and calls, etc. So a lot of the pieces get kind of filtered out when you look at just VIX. Now, I'm not a VIXologist, I'm not an expert, but I know enough to know that VIX at 15 isn't telling us that we're about to break down or that it's too cheap. And if you know if somebody knows more nuances, I'm certainly open to listen. Okay, onward to the next discussion. And why do we care about VIX? I care about VIX because, or about more point than that, I care about the skew. Why? Because if these puts down here, let's just say at 64.10 for the 19th, are kind of overpriced compared to the calls, that means the market makers sold them nice and expensive, and you kind of get that vol crush, or the ones that people bought. You kind of get that vol crush pushing us up. I like when VIX gets jumpy or when skew gets jumpy and people are buying that stuff because then you have the traditional profile of customer long puts decaying, losing their value, pushing us up, and hopefully we see above us people are selling calls, and so we mean revert toward there, and we get a nice orderly market. That's what I like. I know some of the scalpers don't like an orderly market, but that's what we get. Okay, so now let's take a look at, and feel free to ask questions. I know I sometimes assume that people are fluent in the gamma world, and I know people aren't. It takes time to develop a comfort with it. And actually, I was just having a little discussion with a new subscriber who is a scalper, futures, not really familiar with this, and so I was just kind of giving him a little personal tutorial here, explaining some of this stuff really fast. Seems to be a quick study, so I think he kind of caught on. Seems to be a really smart guy. And we have a lot of futures people that are kind of using this to supplement their edge. If you've been trading, oh, good. Come on to the stage over here. Okay, I'll just send you I thought I put it in there, but let me just send it to you on okay. Bad Hombre is gonna hop aboard and tell you in a second while he's doing that. So let me get back to what I was talking about. And if you people are watching me on Twitter, you might see that this is informal, and my server is equally informal. I'm just gonna kind of be me, and people are gonna be themselves, and that's cool. So anyway, real quick look at this, and then I'll let Bad Hombre tell us about well, it's always the the environment for an end of the day butterfly if you put it in the right place. I'm just being a little sarcastic. I could, okay, but I mean, I'll answer that question in a minute. But the quick answer: when my eye sees something like this, a butterfly shape, it looks, where might the fly be? So the fly might be somewhere between here, but that's kind of too wide, too far. Not a great fly. You might want to look at a fly center a little over 10. We'll look at that in a minute. If I had to choose one of these services, which one would I choose? Gun to my head, options depth. For pure SPX trading, options depth. Now, Vol Signals, who's a former market maker, is coming out with a toy. I haven't seen it yet. I'll be baiting it. I'm not sure what it's going to have. I have a feeling it's going to be really good, maybe a little too quanty in the weeds for the average human being, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great. Just depends on how sophisticated you want to get. So I love this. It gives me lots of different choices, and I'll throw a discount link in a minute. So let's just quick go through the story here. Okay, so my lines, which are derived from this to a large extent. So here's market maker long cluster between 90 and 70. So if as we move down, they start buying these kind of, these deltas are just kind of mushed together into a delta calculation. And so they have to start buying as we kind of get into this neighborhood, if we do. And similarly up top, 50, 65, 40. So as we go up that far, if we do, then they have to start selling. In between, there's nothing. There's a void. Free to move around the cabin. With a couple market maker longs, shorts, customer longs over here. So there's a quick path to 65.10, maybe a little slowdown at 20.25, the top of the expected move. If we get past there, then we can kind of go a little further. 32 was the all-time high, 35, close enough for government work. So that's possible path in here. Not saying it happens. I'm just saying Gamma says that that's a permissible path. Should we kind of fall down below 70? A little bit of a drop toward 55, and then the 50 area becomes a clump. Um, as a reminder, local low is down here around 40, and there's stuff sold below it. Not a lot, but some. So that should be another supportive zone, and then below there, 25, et cetera, et cetera. Now, one more thing, and then I'm going to turn the mic over to Bad Hombre, to Chewy. I've been talking a lot about local trading. What do I mean by local? By local, I mean near where we're trading. Local, within 10, 15 points of where we are. So right now we're at 65.05, 6,500. So whatever trading goes on, whoops, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Whatever trading goes on at 6,500, 64.95, 65.10.05 is going to change. Is going to change the shape of this distribution. And so when I see a small number like 200 or even 1,400, if it's local, I take it with a grain of salt. We've been seeing big trades come in intraday at different times. I mention them in the server once in a while. If I have time, I send them out on Twitter or whatever. I kind of can't do everything at once. My main thing is I'm a trader. And so I'm also trying to make money doing this shit. And so we're doing all that. Um, so I hope that answers your question. Oh, and something I've been meaning to just mention in case it's not obvious. I don't code any of this stuff. I'm not calculating gamma, doing a secret source. As you may be able to see from here, I subscribe to Gamma Labs, to Spot Gamma, I'm a mod on Mentor Q, to tradingvolatility.net, to Unusual Whales, and to Gamma Edge. And I look at all of them to different degrees, and I synthesize it, and I come up with a plan. How do I trade it? I think of it as an analogy to a chart. Everyone has access to a chart. Some people make a fortune looking at the same chart. Some people go broke looking at the same chart. And so some people subscribe to whatever service X, Y, and Z, and they make money. Some people say, "Ah, that service is bullshit. I don't make money on it. It's crap." I don't know if it's the service or if it's how you use it. Anyway, so that's what you get with me. You get how I use all this and reading Mandy Sue's stupid note and all that stuff and how I synthesize it. Okay, go ahead, Chewy. Oops, are you there? Go ahead. I'll
Hey
cut it.
guys. Yeah, so real quick, gonna do a little plug here. We've been crushing it on the futures live stream these last couple days. I highly recommend if you trade NQ or futures. I'm in there trading NQ with everybody. Um, today's my these numbers are gonna be for ES. I like longs if we're holding above 65.05 really. I'm going to be in the long boat. I'm really not expecting a move above 65.30 and a move below 64.95. So what that kind of tells me is range choppy day. The fact that there isn't a real news catalyst and today, but there's a big one tomorrow. I'm gonna stay vigilant and not really try and hold for a massive move.
So Boomer is asking where your live stream is, and I think it's right below mine in the channel.
Yes. And you can be in both mine and Doc's at the same time, the way we have it set up.
Yeah, I think yours is the best kept secret there because just a lot, you don't really pump it that much, so to speak, and so you come up here and you mention it, and so people don't really know that you're there, and that's part of the premium or platinum or ultra deluxe or whatever, whatever we call it today.
Yeah. We'll see what we call it tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Whatever you subscribe to, if you subscribe, don't worry, the name will change.
And if you
I
can't
think
find it, just DM me and I'll help you find it or
right,
get you the
right,
right access.
right. DM whoever, right? Probably Julie because he's doing the Discord admin kind of stuff. I stumble around with it once in a while. Okay, so yeah, so here's the ES chart, and you can see broadly the gamma levels just from Mental Q because they have futures gamma. I don't. Well, neither does option depth. I don't know what happened here. It just disappeared on me. Oh, it looks like it's updating or something. There you go. Um, yeah. And so someone asked me about updating before, and I keep the main thing for SPX. I use my stuff because my levels tell me where the lines are, and I look at Mentor Q, and I look at rather option depth updates. But I also keep Mentor Q on the chart. Their data is calculated a little differently. I like options that better, to tell you the truth, but I like the fact that they update live real time on my chart. And so I get to see where if lines move, then I'm going to go more granularly and see. See that I always end up with the wrong one. I don't always. I sometimes end up with the wrong one. Be impeccable with your word. Don't say always if it's not always. And see, oh, there's 109 contracts here. This is telling me based on the CBOE in the last 10 minutes, this is how many the market makers have. It's tagged customers bought or sold. And it's further sub-tagged by, oh, you can't see it here, but there's a way you can do it. I can look at retail versus hedge funds versus institutions. I don't bother because I don't really usually care why it's there. I care that it's there. And I only know to get that level of granularity here. Okay, so here's where we are. It's almost 9 o'clock. Nothing much has changed. Now, for the fun part, let's see what's going on. Here's like yesterday's trades as today. Nothing. Why is it not updating? Overview. Okay. Orders. Okay. Working. Okay. And so most of you know, if you've been watching, I like to do at least small versions of my trades live and in person. I trade live with live money. And where are we here? So what would I do now? Great, what I did yesterday. You're a genius stock. Fine. What are you going to do now? Okay. Well, 65.50 round number. I like to be away from the round numbers if I can. 40 cents. See, for me, I don't mind selling 20 wide for 40 cents. Some people don't like it, but I'm going to put that in anyway. And then I'll add um, up on top. Today's a little iffy. I'm not crazy about the fact. Let me get back to from a selling point of view. I'm not crazy about the fact. I always do a 20 wide. I do the 5 and 10 wides just for you, literally. And other people, do fives and tens. I always do 20 wide. That's my default size. 15 if I'm a little iffy. Um, I used to do 25 and 30 wide. I don't do that anymore. I find 20 is the sweet spot for me, the way I trade. I'll do tens a lot of the time if I'm going out in time, fives or tens, because that just gives me a buffer if it moves against me. My long one doesn't move so much, and then I can manipulate around it. That said, why don't I like selling calls today? At least not right now, because we're at 6,500 and there's a path right up. And there's really nothing stopping us up at until 65.40. So if I'm going to sell a call, which I'm sure I will, I want to be up in this zone. So 65.45. It only says 25 cents, but if I can get 45 cents, I'll take it. I put it in. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Now 40, we should stall, quote unquote. 45 cents, I'll take one of those. It's like a Chinese menu. If I was selling 5 or 10 wide, yeah, on top, maybe I'll do something like that. I don't know. I'd be more comfortable on the bottom if I was selling 5 or 10 wide, selling maybe down here for 30 cents if that's enough premium for you. Or if I wanted to do a different kind of trade, something like this, maybe 35.40 and 60.55 for 65 cents. Or if I wanted to get maybe do a 10 wide and move a little further away, something like that. I would do something like that in here. 64.30, 35 is stealing ish. I don't know if there's Do you have any single leg calls out? I mean, I don't right now. If I were to do a single leg trade, and I don't like single legs, especially on zero DT because of the way they move. But what I might do, if I would want to do a trade right here, right now, I might do 65-10, do a debit spread, something like that, or like that. I would go for something like that, the 65-10. Now, I occasionally trade single legs on my own. It's just that they move so fast that by the time I tell somebody I'm in it, I might be out of it, and I don't want to steer people wrong. Um, Another way to do this, and while we're talking about it, let me take a look. And a lot of times, often, I'll buy a butterfly during the day. Yeah, I'm not trying to get a pin at the end of the day. I'm just trying to go in the direction that we're going to be moving at some point during the day. Whether we end up there or not's a different story. So this 65-10, 15-20 for 35 cents looks good. However, it's going to be hard to land that plane. But 10, 20, 30 for a buck 45, not horrible. That gives me a bigger tent if we go up, but I lose 145 bucks if I'm wrong. But that's not bad. Something like that's decent. Oh, a fly like this. But these are kind of, like I said, hard to land that plane when they're five wide. So just for fun, I'm going to put this one in and we'll see what happens. So I'm putting in a 10, 20. Actually, no, I think I'm going to cancel that. I think I'm going to cancel that. Let's see what's going on the downside. Because I took a peek and I saw a relatively big bar. I don't know if it means anything or not. But that's good because I'll be able to get maybe the fly here, the at the money fly, with the old 6,500 center.
I got to bounce, guys, but
All
I'll
right.
see you guys in there. Good luck.
And I'll try to get the puts in early. And so that's basically what we're looking at. And like I said, I got, these. Here's the ones I sold for Friday. I put it in the chat. I think I sent it out on Twitter. Um, and Danny, you're a subscriber? Yes, no? I know I have more than one Dan. I'm not sure if you are. Because I'll try to call out some of the scalps. I do call them out on the voice sometime. Like yesterday, we were at 85. Here's Fridays. If you look in Doc's trades, they're all there. I took a screenshot. I even put a screenshot of my good till cancels. Not yet, sir. Okay, well, in that case, hope you join us. We still have a free trial. Let me shameless plug here. If you want to kick the tires, I'll put it in again. It's currently a 2 week trial. Then it goes back to a week, like the whatchamacallit, the Labor Day sale is a 2 week trial. You're welcome, Abe. And I know the service isn't for everybody. Some people, it's like part of their daily routine, and some people, nah, not what I thought it would be, not my cup of tea, whatever. They're looking for different stuff. That's totally cool. And even if it's not cool, like I have a choice, right? Um, Let me give you the options. Let me give you the discount links while we're at it. Then I'm going to hop. So the discount links are, where are they? Let me give you the options depth discount link. Let's do it this way. Copy text. There's the option depth discount link. And where's the mental Q discount link? They had a really big 40% off for the year sale for Labor Day. I don't know if they still have it. And mental Q has futures and all that. Gamma Edge, if you're interested in that, you have to like DM me separately and I'll see what I can do for you. And Unusual Whales, I don't have any discount links yet. Okay, that's it. I'm going to jump. Oh, let me see. Hold on. FYI, I sent you my trade plan to review in Discord. Thoughts when you have time. I'll be happy to. And yes, I want to encourage people to write a daily plan of some sort. It could be 3 lines, it could be 30 pages. And actually, I might make a channel for users to put their daily plan in. Actually, I'm going to do that. Okay. See you, everybody. Trade safe.